Have you ever stopped to think that maybe, just maybe, our school system is running on an operating system that's 100 years out of date? We're about to dive into this idea that our schools were built for an industrial age that's long gone. Let's get right into it.
Wow, this quote really just hits it right on the head, doesn't it? The whole idea here is that for the last century, our schools have been all about teaching compliance over creativity. Fitting kids into neat little boxes instead of helping them figure out who they are and what they can do. It's a pretty heavy thought, and it really sets the stage for everything we're about to talk about. And this is where it gets really wild. This slide draws a straight line from the factory floor right into the classroom. I mean, think about it. When Henry Ford perfected the assembly line, he wasn't just changing how cars were made. He accidentally created the blueprint for modern education. We sort kids by age, not by model. We use standardized tests as our quality control. The goal? A predictable, standardized output. The parallels are kind of hard to ignore. So yeah, let's dig a little deeper into this factory model. The very same logic that was churning out Model Ts 100 years ago was also building the schools our parents, and maybe even we, grew up in. It's an architecture for learning that was designed for a totally different world with totally different needs. And this has a real effect on people, a real psychological impact. The source material calls it learned helplessness. It's this quiet paralysis that can set in when a system rewards you for just following the rules, instead of for taking risks or trying something new. I mean, you get generations of students who are experts at compliance, but maybe not so great at creating or problem solving or just building something with their own two hands. So what's the big fallout from all this? Well, one of the biggest consequences is that we've kind of lost a whole generation of practical skills. There's been this huge pivot away from hands-on education, away from what used to be a really fundamental part of school, just learning by doing. And just look at this timeline. It tells the whole story. Back in the 70s, things like woodshop, metalwork, auto repair, that was all standard stuff. But then they just started to quietly disappear. They were seen as, less than the real academic subjects. The bottom line is, a whole way of teaching kids how to be competent and capable has basically just vanished. This quote is just incredibly powerful. It's describing a school that once had 63 acres of land, full of potential, with open spaces and glass walls. But over time, as those hands-on programs got cut, all that open space just got filled up with desks, turning what was once a vibrant campus into, well, book prisons. But here's the pivot. What if we could take one of those old industrial graveyards and turn it into something completely new? A new kind of place for learning? Well, that's exactly the story at Camp North End in Charlotte. It's this massive 76-acre old factory site that's been reborn as this buzzing, creative hub for artists and businesses and families. Okay, look at this. This is the before. You can still see the old rail lines snaking through the industrial bones of the place. This was a space built for mass production, for assembly lines, for machines. And now, this is the after. Same place, that it feels like a different universe. Where machines used to churn, now you have people creating, collaborating, and living. And it's this exact transformation that sparked a whole new vision for what education could be.
Okay, so this brings us to the big idea, the Competence Rail Yard. The concept is to build a living, breathing school system right inside this creative ecosystem at Camp North End, using the site's industrial past as a launch pad for a totally different future.
So what does that actually look like on the ground? Well, imagine these small modular learning spaces built right along those old rail lines. Not classrooms, but active workshops. You've got a plumber and their apprentice solving a real problem. A woodshop where kids are learning geometry not from a textbook, but by figuring out the angle to cut for a table leg. The idea is that kids are just surrounded by real people doing real skilled work every single day. And this isn't just a pop-up idea. We're talking about a whole learning journey. A kid starts at age 4, learning by making and doing. By the time they're 9, they've spent years surrounded by real-world competence. They're ready for a middle school without walls. And the best part? The whole system is designed to grow, with local entrepreneurs building new learning spaces, modeling how to start a business right there on site. But look, this whole model isn't just about cool buildings. It's really built on a deep philosophy. It's about designing a school that starts from a place of trust, trusting its students to be capable, to be responsible. And this is the bedrock of the whole thing, The core belief is that if you create an environment of respect, kids will absolutely rise to the occasion. You treat them like capable young adults, and that's how they'll act. The flip side, creating a place built on suspicion, well, that just invites the exact behavior you're trying to stop. And you can literally see this philosophy in the architecture. The old model, you get those isolated, egg-grate classrooms where no one knows what's going on. The new model, glass walls, open spaces, where learning is visible and collaborative. Instead of hiding what students are doing, you celebrate it. Even something as small as having shared bathrooms for everyone sends this huge message of trust and respect. And get this, here's proof that it actually works. There's a real-world example of a school built on this philosophy. 538 students in a 40,000 square foot building. And the vibe isn't chaos. It's calm. It's collaborative. It feels more like a cool tech startup than a school, all because the environment is built on respect. So let's zoom out. The really crucial thing to get here is that this isn't just about one cool school in Charlotte. This is about creating a blueprint, a model that could be replicated anywhere and spark some real systemic change in how we think about education. And that's exactly what this Character and Competence Hub is. It's a proof of concept. It's a real-world test to show that you can build a system from the community up that brings purpose, real-world skills, and a sense of connection back to learning. It's about showing, not just telling. And this right here, this captures the whole vision perfectly. Taking a site that was once dedicated to the mass production of things and turning it into a site for the production of human potential. I mean, that's a pretty amazing evolution, right? So, all of this leaves us with one big question to chew on. When you're trying to fix something as big and complicated as education, what actually works? Big top-down rules and mandates? Or is it about creating tangible, working examples that other people can see and copy? This whole idea of the competence rail yard makes a pretty strong case that the future of learning isn't going to be dictated from on high. It's going to be built from the ground up, one community at a time.